श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषये गुरोगणानिधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। व्यासं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं प्रहाशरात्मनि वन्दे जगदादं तुभोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णुवे नमो वै ब्रह्मदेवासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. So we were looking at Sanatsujata Parva, and Rishi Sanatsujata explaining Atma Tattva. He is explaining about Paramatma. So we'll continue on that discourse and see what he says. So Dhritarashtra, listening to Sanatsujata, he asks Sanatsujata to describe about Paramatma, Brahman. He says that, tell me all those worlds that are connected to Brahman and all those things that's unconnected with the objects of worldly desire. What are these? And therefore, tell me everything about these things for the attainment of Brahman. What are the things that's one attaches in this worldly, in this samsara, and all those things. So then Sanasujata explains that the Brahman, what you ask me is not to be attained soon. So it's not something that can be attained so easily. And he says that after the senses have been restrained and it has been merged with pure intellect, buddhi, that state that succeeds one utters absence of the worldly thought. So once completely senses have been restrained and mind completely focused, buddhi completely focused on that Paramatma, then only succeeds in this, leaving all this worldly existence or all this everything in this samsara, whatever one attaches, or removing all that from, then only that thought comes through, and then only one attains that. Even that is the knowledge. That is the knowledge. Then the knowledge that of Brahman that comes, and it is only through brahmacharya one attains that. So then Dhritarashtra asks that you say that knowledge of Brahman lives or exists within itself in the mind, and it's being only discovered by brahmacharya. So that is, if that is dwelling in the mind, it requires manifestation, no efforts as such or actions such as is required, but it itself is seeking means of by the means of brahmacharya. So then tell me, what is that? How is that immortality, that uh, realization of Brahman is associated with, that brahmacharya is associated with attainment of Brahman? And he says that now he starts explaining about brahmacharya. And again, brahmacharya, here he starts about the brahmacharya mode or the brahmacharya ashrama, the early stages of the life. So he explains that by residing in and with inherent to the mind, knowledge of Brahman is still manifest. The mind, even though it resides in the knowledge of Brahman resides in the mind, it is still unmanifest. It is not something one can recognize. It is by the aid of pure intellect, that is Shuddha Jnana only, one and brahmacharya, that knowledge comes to realization. So even though it exists in us, it's not something that's visible and that can be uh, realized. So having attained that knowledge, yogins, they give up this world. That means the attachments to this world and the desires of this worldly pleasures, they give up everything, and through that only, it is among that they, this is always found in the greatest gurus, he says. So now I will tell you on the discourse, and so I'll tell you all that. So then Dhritarashtra asks, what is the nature of that brahmacharya? by which Brahman can be attained without much difficulty. Tell me all this. And then Sanatsujata explains that those who are living in Guru's ashramas and winning the Guru's goodwill, friendship, practicing the brahmacharya, austerities, and becoming even in this world, they learn, attain that realization. And by leaving their bodies, they are united with Paramatma himself. And they, that in this world, desires of obtaining that Paramatma state of Brahman in this world itself, they control all their desires and endued with uh, their righteousness, and they succeed in disassociating from the this Atma from this body. So they completely have differentiation of Atma from the body. So they like realize that this body is just not attached to the Atma. Atma is completely different. They realize that Atma within the body. So then those the body is created by these father, mother, and others, and new birth, but at, due to Guru's instructions, which is sacred and free from descriptive and immortal, they become descriptive, become free from descriptive old age and immortal. They become immortal. That means this body is whatever the changes that this body goes through, they're immune from that. That doesn't mean body stays like that, but they are not considering body as them. They are considering the Atma inside as them and not the body. Discoursing upon the Brahma and granting immortality, he wraps all persons with that truth and should be regarded as father and mother, bearing in mind the good he does, one should never do him any injury. So again, that learning from that guru about that Paramatma and getting that immortality and that Atma-jnana, they consider themselves as that as the guru as their father and mother. That disciple, he always salute his guru with respect, with purity of body and mind, and well directed attention. And he must be take to study whatever the guru teaches him. He should study that. He must not never consider any service as mean. So even if guru asks him to do something which he does not like, he should not consider that as a something he should not do. He should always honor and with respectful he should do that, and never harbor any anger. So if guru asks him to do something, he should never do that. Even that's the first step of brahmacharya. Then a disciple in his very life, he should life and all his positions in thought, in word and deed, do all that is agreeable to the guru. So the first step is, as I said, he do everything as guru says. The second thing is do all the things that's agreeable to the guru, and that's the second step of brahmacharya. He should behave towards the guru and guru's wife and his sons same way as he does to guru. That is the second step. Then he should bear in mind that understanding whatever that has been done by his guru and understanding the guru's object, understanding everything that guru has taught, he should always think that I've been taught and made great by him. So that he always think that this guru is making me great. This guru is teaching me some the great things, and I am here. I am what I am today is because of this guru. That's what he should think. That's the third step of brahmacharya. Then the fourth step is without requiring uh, guru uh, by payment of the final gift, that is guru dakshina, a wise disciple must not be take another mode of life. So that means he should not leave that brahmacharya ashrama without giving guru dakshina. Again, guru dakshina is comes in three forms: service, and dana, and things like that. So we will look at that in the Gita discussions. But he should not take another mode without giving guru dakshina, even if he say, even if he think his mind, I make this gift, he should always do give guru dakshina. So that's the fourth mode. And then, so that person, such a person, he attains as the first step of knowledge of Brahman, which is the object of brahmacharya by the aid of time. The second step through Guru's uh, pre-elections. The third, he by the power of his own understanding, and finally the fourth by discussions, he completes those four steps. And then the brahmacharya mode again is consisted of 12 virtues. The yoga practices are called angas, and preservance of yoga meditation is called balam. And the one crowned with success in this, the consequence of Guru's aid and understanding of the senses of the Vedas. So brahmacharya again is 12 virtues in it. The yoga practices are called angas, and yoga meditation is called balam, and the one gets all this through Guru's aid. So that's why having a guru to teach these things is important. Whatever the wealth one student that engaged may earn should be given to the preserve. Again, this is a standard thing we hear throughout Mahabharata. In the very first stories of Mahabharata, we hear that whatever the disciple earns wealth, he should always give that to Guru. And Guru take should Guru will accept, or he may give that back to the disciple, but disciple should never keep those things. So behaving like that, in the brahmacharya mode, the student thrives by all the means of in this world and obtains progeny and fame. He obtains children and fame in this world by doing like that. And it is through brahmacharya of this kind. Sanatsujata says that devatas attained their divinity, and the sages, highly blessed of grace wisdom, have obtained the regions of Brahman. And by this only Gandharvas, Apsaras, everybody have attained what their status. And similarly, it is through brahmacharya only Surya rises to make the day. So through that only he rises. So he says that again he continues and explains the greatness of brahmacharya. Brahmacharya by that one doing that austerities, taking brahmacharya mode in its entirety, purifies his body, and he also becomes like a child, free from evil passions and triumphs over death at last. So that means he attains immortality. That means he attains that realization of Brahman. So by karma, by doing action, whatever that it may be, with pure, one obtains words that's perishable. So by doing actions, one attains heaven or whatever it is, and then one enjoys there and then returns to the next birth. But that's one that is blessed with knowledge, attains with that aid of knowledge. He realizes the power of Brahman, which is everlasting. Okay, so he realizes Paramatma, and that Atma-jnana is everlasting. That never, and that's why the path of knowledge or attainment of Brahma leads to moksha. Sanatsujata, while asking Dhritarashtra, while explaining this, Dhritarashtra asks then the existence of Brahman, the Paramatma, wise people see that wise people sees in his own Atma, right? So the Paramatma they see in their own Atma, and now is the Brahman white, red, black, blue, or purple? What's the nature of that Brahman? What's the color? How does it look? What's the true form of this? What's the shape of that Brahman? So the Dhritarashtra asks this question to Sanatsujata, explain me, you tell me how to attain and realize that Brahman, but how does that Brahman, Paramatma look? So Sanatsujata explains that Brahman may appear as white, red, black, brown, bright, whatever the color it is, but neither on earth or in sky or in the water, or is there anything like that that could be seen as Paramatma, neither in the stars or in the lightning or in the cloud or anywhere that's visible or not visible, not in the Devatas, not in the moon, sun, or Vedas, Rigveda, Sama, Atharvanas, anywhere. it is to be found. So Brahma cannot be found. Similarly, it cannot be found in any great sacrifices. It is incapable of being compassed and lying beyond the reach of limited intellect. So whatever the intellect, buddhi, intellect one has, it's beyond that. So even even the universal destroyer after dissolution is himself lost in it. So they destroy the Yama himself, or that destroys everything, the entire world at the end, and he himself get lost in that. So that's why this Paramatma, this Supreme Soul, this Brahman, is incapable of being looked at. So, and even on this Paramatma is unchangeable, and he is vast, he is delightful. All the creatures have sprung from it and finally returned to it. It is free from all kind of duality, and there is only one, and it is manifest as the universe and all pervading. So again, this Paramatma is without any change, and except the language used to describe it. Right. So the language used to describe, so some may Paramatma in one shape or one color or whatever, but because it's how they realize and how they see it, but it's not without change. It never changes. And that's this entire universe is established in this. Then Sanatsujata explains that uh, he explains the 12 grave faults that are destructive to men's lives. He, this portion of the Sanatsujata discourse is not in many versions of Mahabharata, most original scripts. That's why it slightly goes off topic to the question what Dhritarashtra has asked, but it looks also somewhat repeat to what he has said previously. Sorrow, anger, covetousness, lust, ignorance, laziness, malice, self-importance, continuous desire of gain, affection, jealousy, evil speech, all these are destructive of man and these faults. And similarly, uh, one that is covetous, fears, harsh of speech, that is garrulous, the one that is given to nursing anger, and the one that is boastful. These also again, on obtaining uh, wealth, cannot treat others with courtesy. So they want these people, these six type of people. Yeah, once they obtain the wealth, they do not treat others with courtesy. Similarly, uh, one that is regards sensual gratification as the greatest thing, one that is self conceited, and one that boasts having made a gift, one that never spends, the one that is weak in mind, and one is given to self admiration and also hates his own wife. All these seven should be counted as wicked men of sinful habits. Then he talks about the 12 uh, practices of Brahmana, that is righteousness, truth, asceticism, self restraint, contentment, modesty, renunciation, love for others, gift, acquaintance, the scriptures, patience, forgiveness. And also, uh, he talks about the things. He says that even if one or two or even three or even one is exists in this, they are considered better. I think some of these we have come across previously, so it is somewhat repeat. So then he talks about the mother, self-restraint, renunciation, knowledge, lead to emancipation. We looked at those things. Then he talks about uh, the wise man should not give way to mother, and mother is censorable. Then he talks about the friendship, which is of six indications. The first one is friends delight in prosperity of the friend, uh, their friend. They become happy if their friend becomes prosperous. And secondly, when the friend is adversity or distressed, they also feel distressed. Uh, the third one is if a friend asks something which you is very close to your heart, and probably friend should not should not have asked. If when they ask it, this friend give away even that, even though it is very close to that, that object is close to their heart, they give away. And they they always give to the friends, even the things, his own prosperity, whatever they have, they will give up that to their friend. And then also, friends should not dwell in a friend's house whom they have given something already, uh, and but shouldn't enjoy what he earns with himself. So he should always earn from his own wealth. He should live and should not go to another friend's house thinking that I have made a lot of gift to him, I have given all these things to him. And finally, a friend does not stop his sacrifice. His does not stop it to sacrifice his own good for his friend. So he always does things for his friend. So the then Sanatsujata explains that the control of the senses is asceticism. Is again comes back to the self-restraint. He talks about the truth as the Brahman, and Brahman resides in who knows Brahman as vested with attributes. So it dwells completely in him who knows Brahman as divested of attributes. So again, Brahman resides in, but Brahman is does not have any attributes. He is completely free for a Brahman. Then he talks about the again the high and celebrated philosophy should be he talks about his philosophy which should be taught to all the disciples, and this Paramatma-jnana, Atma-jnana should be taught to all the disciples. He says, and all the whole universe is established in this yoga philosophy, this Atma-jnana, and they that are those who know acquainted with this are not subject to death because they have that Atma-jnana. One cannot by action, by karma, even though well accomplished, attain this Paramatma Jnana, this realization. By karma alone, one cannot attain this. But man, the person who is destitute of this knowledge, even if he pours homa, libations, or perform sacrifices, can never, by doing karma, attain moksha. So this is very strong statement here. He says just through by karma only, one cannot attain moksha. So Ajnana, Atma-jnana is important. That's why restraining all the external senses and alone, one should seek Paramatma. By that experiencing that Paramatma, Atma-jnana only, one can attain moksha. Then he explains about the Paramatma and the seed or the starting point, the Paramatma is that seed of this universe called Mahajas, which does not have any accidents or conditions in it. It is pure knowledge, and but coming to contact with the conditions or accidents, the creation, it starts creation of this universe, and through that the five elements, mm, earth, sun, earth, air, space, all these things, fire, water, etc., it comes through, and then from those matters the creation starts. Again, the earth, heaven, directions, the whole universe comes from that. Rivers, spring, what seas and mountains and all the things also come from that. He says that the body is like a car destined for destruction. It acts, however, are undying. So whatever one does remains here, carries on. The actions remain, but the the body disappears. So the actions one does carried on. So the Paramatmas, the final form of that Paramatma cannot be described by any comparison. None have ever sees him by eyes, but it can only be seen by the yogis through divine, their mental eyes. Okay, so it cannot be seen by the normal eyes. So here, Sanatsujata explains those yogis who see the Paramatma through their mental eyes, their jnana, their knowledge. He explains those things. So those who go to Tirtha Kshetras and uh, con- the having reflected enjoy only the half of the fruits of his acts. It is that Atma, which is Ishvara, pervading everything in this universe. It is that Ishvara that has ordained sacrifices. That eternal one is seen by the yogis through their mental eyes. Similarly, a stream of illusion is terrible, guarded by devatas. It has 12 fruits, drinking in the water, seeing many sweet things, and it's in the middle of men swim along to and fro. So that's again the samsara, the stream go come and go, and seeing that the yogi sees Paramatma through his house, and similarly explains various other means where the yogis see Paramatma. Uh, the Paramatma five elements have come through, and through that the Agni, Soma, all these have come through, and all the organisms with senses and everything has come through, and that's what the the Vedas where they call it, where this Paramatma is called a Tat, and uh, because they are unable to describe what it is, so they just say that, and that is Paramatma. So yogi sees that, and he sits in the deep in the heart, and that Paramatma is seen by the supreme. He is the supreme controller, and is seen by all the yogis. Similarly, where a person life's journey, having started, attained knowledge of Atma or not attained of Atma-jnana, and then it might, whether he performs Agnihotra, sacrifices and other things or not, whether Nitya Karma, whether everyone does or not. So as long as he says, I am your servant, that's that person, having retained that with that pure knowledge and of Paramatma, he sees that Paramatma. Such a yogi sees Paramatma. So like this, Sanasujata explains various other ways how the a yogi sees that Bhagavan, sees that Paramatma. He explains that through the mental eyes. And Sanasujata then says that the one, therefore, that sees his own self in everything has no longer to grieve for what they have, only grieve for who are employed in diverse other occupations of the. So again, seeing their own Atma as the Paramatma and not the body as themselves, then they and they do not grieve for anything in this world. So in this heart, dwelling in this heart, that Paramatma, uh, is not an object of sight. So it's something you cannot see. He's unborn. He moves awake at day and night, and he knows the one that knows that Paramatma that's residing in that Atma residing inside is both joined and he is full of joy. So his Sanatsujata explains that unborn, that Paramatma moves, he awake day and night. It is knowing whom he one becomes both learned, and by knowing that Paramatma, one becomes full of joy. He becomes learned. Again, subtler or subtler than a subtle, the excellent of the excellent eyes capable of looking into both past and future. Brahman is awake in every creature. They that know him, that universal father, he is the creator, he is the destroyer, dwell in the heart of every created thing. So Paramatma lives in every created things. So we shall stop there, and we will look at what happens after Sanasujata's discourse the next time.